From the jungles of Lustria to the pirate-infested shanties of Fu Chao. There are few places in this world he hasn't crossed for fame and fortune. A mercenary without equal. A living legend. No job is too perilous, no deed too violent. Every contract has its price. But to feast on his enemies, that he does for free. Golgfag Maneater. His fame surpassed only by his appetite and thirst for ale and plunder.
Load up to me! We've got a new job! New job, new start. Nice. So, who's doing the paying and who's doing the dying?
Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about Golgfag Maneater in the Omens of Destruction DLC for Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. The Maneater himself, the one whose name is used for ogre mercenaries across the entire world, and his unique campaign. Now, I've talked about the ogre rework. It's pretty solid, pretty good for Greasus and Scrag and for the race as a whole. But how is it for Maneater to play as an ogre? Well, you start over here between basically in Ascent, but this territory of Norden is occupied by Nordland over here. So there's a dispute of territory, and you can and your first specific contract, your first mercenary contract, is to choose between Nordland or Ascent, or you can not get involved if you so desire. It's heavily recommended you do those contracts because it is a huge source of money in this particular campaign, and also meat. But before I talked about the mercenary contracts, and admittedly the bounties, the ogre bounties, feel redundant if you're playing Golgfag, because you kind of don't care. Like, there's no benefit here. Like, maybe you would have some benefit that might be worth it, but yeah, I just don't really see them most of the time over here. I mean, I guess I could capture that settlement and just get paid for it by the ecstatic legions, but it's kind of not worth it for 3,000 gold. You know, I could try and kill the changeling, good luck with that, or I can, you know, go deal with the vampires over there for Marienburg. So there are some bounties that are still useful, but no. Like, in other ogre campaigns, bounties can be really important. In Golgfag's campaign, not so much. So his faction effects, the legendary mercenary, he has access to mercenary contracts. He can instantly travel to the client's settlement once per contract. You cannot make alliances with other factions, though don't worry about that. You won't really struggle with declarations of war as such. I mean, I certainly haven't had many factions. Like, even with my reliability here being very low, and yeah, that's a screw up on my part, I'm not really seeing a lot of factions declaring war on me. Melee attack +5 when fighting against a contract enemy, and immune to psychology when fighting against a contract enemy. So some benefits over there. Now, on top of that, you get a Maneater Lord effect skill, which increases your income post-battle loot +25%, -20% upkeep for Maneaters, and the Deadeye ability, which is it affects units if it's a single entity, strong against small entities, strong against lightly armored targets, and requires line of sight. So it's a pistol shot, basically, that he does have over there. You also start with the Butcher of Heaven, so you start with Casualty Replenishment Hero. You start with a level 2 camp in the territory over here, the Northern Camp.
New sight.
You don't necessarily have as strong of a starting position as Scrag does, but then again, you also don't have to defend the same territory that Scrag does have, and besides, you'll get much stronger, much faster than Scrag will, because of the mercenary contract system. Then in terms of special skill line, you get armor-piercing weapon damage, been there, done that, so Hex reduces weapon damage, armor-piercing weapon damage, melee attack. You get recruit rank, melee attack, and terror for Maneater units. Minus 10% upkeep casualty replenishment for your army and immune to contact effects. Replenish 20% campaign movement range after winning a battle. 10% meat gain from battle. 20% income post-battle loot. You get Unbreakable for Regiment's Renown. Melee attack for Regiment's Renown. Melee defense for Regiments of Renown. And gain free random abilities via ancillaries at the start of each battle. These abilities will be lost after the battle. So that is kind of weird, I guess, but there are, like, I'm not sure which ancillaries he's talking about over there, but yeah, you do get some random abilities, can be pretty damn useful. Your big names, you get Rowdy, physical resistance, weapon strength, strength from flesh when fighting against humans, diplomatic relations with all factions, Witness Me, which gives you damage resistance, and then end your turn in full speed, stance on water, campaign movement range, and increases plunder for encounters on sea faction-wide. Now, with respect to Regiments of Renown, I'm not sure I can show you that. Well, I can actually over here. What is interesting is since you are a mercenary, you can recruit some Regiments of Renown that other ogres don't have access to. It's not really a huge amount over here, maybe there should be more. But you can get the Long Drong Slayer Pirates if you have Franz Decay, of course. You can also get Ruglud's Armored Orcs, so you can get some greenskins. So, yeah, mercenary units can be recruited by the big mercenary. No freaking surprise over there. So, and yeah, they get that Unbreakable benefit. So these kind of Regiments Renown would obviously be much stronger under Golgfag's control than they normally would. And they're already pretty strong. You've seen me use the Eshin Maneater in a video partially. That thing is scary. The Eshin Maneater under Golgfag is a different beast. Freaking entirely. So that's already something else. You get Bragg the Gutsman with this DLC. Now, that does require to wound, assassinate another character. It's turn 17. It's kind of annoying to actually unlock him. But you can do so. He's, like, I've already covered him in the Ogre video. But regardless of that, in terms of items, well, sadly enough, you're not getting a chainsword, unfortunately, with regards to that, but you do get Bugman's XXX Ale. This is related to lore, how he basically got hired by Ungrim. Like, his quest battle is like a lore event, like he was fighting alongside Greenskins, had a falling out, then he fought alongside the Dwarves, and then he stole their ale. That's a grudging. So he gets casualty replenishment, vigor loss reduction minus 15%, Bugman's Ale, so which gives you replenishment if there is no enemy presence in ability range, and leadership to the entire army. That is his item. It's a pretty solid item, all things considered. I mean, yeah, it's pretty damn good, all things considered. It's not a talisman, it's not a weapon, it's not an armor. The thing about a lot of items that you get, it's like, Talisman of Preservation is better than a lot of things. Weapons, plenty of things. Armor of Destiny, pretty useful. So this is a great item to have, a great enchanted item to actually have here. Oh, and I have a Trickster hell right over here. Okay, so that's his Lord effects, his skill line, his special skill line, his starting position. Let's talk about his unique mechanic, the Mercenary Contracts, which bounties used to be called Mercenary Contracts. So, every turn, so check back on next turn for new contracts. So every turn, you will gain new contracts. I mean, you might keep the old ones staying there, but as things change on the campaign map, you may get new contracts. And these are basically, you go to a faction, let's say the Ice Court, right? Catherine's at war with Festus. So what I can do over here in this campaign, I can go to Catherine right here, and I can accept this contract. Now, the contracts will give you money. They will give you meat. Depends on the difficulty of enemies you're dealing with, all that. Some give you more than others. I think it depends on the faction you're working for, the amount of money they have. So you can get things like growth control, corruption, things like, population surplus for newly conquered territories, construction time. You're not incentivized to be loyal to anyone in particular. You're incentivized to kind of piss off everyone, really, that you're dealing with. So over here, you know, I've got the scaling. I gotta be a bit careful, though, with regards to that. But we got Trog over here. So let's say, you know, I take this contract to the scaling. The way this whole system works is like you get the ability of teleporting to a faction settlement once per turn. And you're at war with whatever factions they're at war with. And you can't engage in diplomacy against those factions when you're in a contract against a particular faction. You also, I believe, gain diplomatic benefits with factions for fulfilling these contracts. I think that there's some kind of diplomatic benefits. So let's take a look at scaling. So you can, and you can go fight alongside one faction, almost completely destroy another faction, and then turn around and be like, well, there's a new contract on the menu, and then turn around and fight for a second faction if you want. So in this case, because the scaling are offering me a great deal, I'd want to deal with that, right? I'd want to deal with Tron. So there's some pretty substantial benefits. It's a lot of money that you can gain. It can fuel the entire economy. Now, I don't know what kind of proximity triggers these contracts, because that is actually a fairly substantial, you know, point of discussion over here. Like, what is it? Is it like, I know it's not like I know very well that it is not. Okay, we can deal with the Baristadbringer. It's not moving heroes. I think moving heroes to another area of the campaign map doesn't work. So you either need camps. Vision won't work. I'm fairly certain of it. Don't quote me on any of this, because I could be freaking wrong on all that I'm just saying right here. But it's not. And when you got the contract, basically, like, you do have replenishment in foreign territory. It's basically, you get treated like a temporary military ally while you've got the contract. Now, when you complete a contract, like, a contract is completed when you fill up, you reach a certain number of points by fighting battles against enemies. That's how you complete a contract. But once a contract is completed, you can stay in the wars against the factions you've been fighting, or you can get peace and then get another contract. I think the encouragement in this campaign is that CA wants you to go around the world and be flexible, because that's really what's going to give you a lot of power. Don't be encumbered by any territory. There's some good stuff over here, right, in Norland that you may want. In this particular campaign, you have a choice between Oslo and Norland. Personally, I would go for Norland, but there is a siege battle that you have to deal with. But then again, you're freaking ogres, so it's like ogres don't struggle in sieges. You don't start with capital settlement, so whichever settlement you take first will be your capital. Keep that in mind. That is something you're going to have to worry about in this particular campaign. Growth or ketchup? That is one thing to be said about that. So you do have those kind of like, you could settle in a territory, but you kind of want to be flexible in this specific campaign over here. Being flexible is what is ultimately going to win this campaign for you. Victory condition wise, complete 15 mercenary contracts, occupy, loot, or sack 30 different settlements. I've only done 6. That should give you an idea about contracts. It's easy enough to complete contracts, right? Fight battles and all that without taking down settlements. But you probably want to deal with settlements for your victory conditions. Your victory conditions do require you to get a tier 5 ogre settlement. Not sure why it's showing up as whatever right there. So basically get the tier 5 ogre settlement, which is not really a problem considering all of the food you'll be gaining. The real benefit of these contracts, by the way, is not so much... Oh, okay, so Vision can give you contracts, but I think like most contracts are based on proximity, but you can apparently get contracts at a certain... you know, at certain distance. Alright, guess I was wrong a bit about that. And why does it count as me having some, well, I guess past situation with Caracadrin, past deals with Caracadrin has probably led to that. I think, like, on one hand, it's not the same kind of map flexibility that, say, Oxyatl or Arbol have in their campaigns, but there is a decent amount of map flexibility over here with Golgfag. Alright, so that contract, make peace, you can do that. So contract failed, that didn't work out. We can then take another contract. Yeah, sometimes, like, that confederation obviously sucked. Suffice to say. Don't know how much of a grudge he's gonna keep, but you can see, like, relations are not too bad right there between me and them. I mean, you still have regular wars beyond this in a campaign as Golgfag, so, you know, just bear that in mind when you're playing him. Ooh, vampires are coming, so scary. But early on you might spend a lot of time in the Empire, but you can certainly go far afield. So it's a dynamic campaign. I kind of wish I got more contracts far afield at least earlier on, so I could travel in other regions. I wish camps could be moved further, but yeah, this is a pretty solid campaign. Would I say it's my favorite campaign? Not necessarily, but I do like what I'm seeing. Like, and compared to where the ogres were before, holy shit! Like, you know, I might not sound the most enthusiastic, but I'm not gonna lie, holy shit, are the ogres significantly better than the crap they were before. Like, easily one of the worst fucking races in the game. Now they really feel more accurate. So yeah. And also, Lead Belchers at tier 3. You know, I can actually have fun in an ogre campaign. Which, before even with the Ogre Hall mod, it was like pulling fucking teeth. And that's with mods. Just goes to show you that mods can help situations. There's a lot of things they can do, but they cannot fix fundamentally broken things. Only CA can do that, because they can do things no mods can, ultimately. Though I'm pretty sure that CA copied a lot of the homework of Ogre Hall and Unimods and all that kind of stuff over here. Costin signing out.